Hey, have you played the mods?
Mod? What?
Yeah, the big lady mods.
Big lake. Oh, let's see this.
I've got something for you. Come on.
This false empire of newsprint and plastic has
Hey,
to
Dan,
be...
I need you. I really
Stop.
need you. Come on.
CGC's a scam.
This is the best Resident Evil ever!
Come on, he's getting away. Come back here.
Who's that big booty girl at the beginning of the video?
Lady Dimitrescu. Oh, she's fly.
Or Dan.
What?
No spoilers.
Big Lady D.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Big booty D.
That's my lawyer name.
You
That's how I
definitely,
sign court pleading.
you definitely have a career going your way.
It's just a little drawing.
In case you're not hip,
Just,
this is from Resident Evil, which has been one of my favorite games that came out thus far in the year of 2021.
Which Resident Evil are we at now?
Resident Evil 8. Look how they did the romanization where the V is the I and it's village. Isn't that really smart?
I wonder how long it took them to think of that in marketing.
That's
quite a long time.
probably where they started with the whole game, right? Somebody was like, look what I did!
Capcom's got a little trouble for
have to
stealing
make this
things
village.
from different sources, so we won't talk about that. But we are going to talk about some of the favorite things that we've loved thus far in the year of 2021. You mind if I start?
Go.
You got the stack of
I mean, you're
games, dude.
speaking.
I'm speaking. Let's keep going. So, thing number one, I'm going to make this brief.
I'm gonna make this brief.
Brief. Resident Evil Village. This is a direct sequel to Resident Evil 7. It's in first person. It uses the Resident Evil engine. It's on PlayStation 4 and 5 and much other things. It doesn't matter. But the point is, it's terrifying AF. Hot Lady D is chasing you, and she's absolutely gorgeous. She has 3 daughters that are also frightening, scary, and gorgeous.
What makes it scary?
What makes it scary? What they do is they don't necessarily like do the jump scares like the other games. It's like sounds and ambiance and the fact that you can die. Like the monsters are really nasty and try to kill you and like it's terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also
Hang on. In Resident Evil 1 through 7, do the monsters not try to kill you?
It's different.
Have I completely misunderstood the franchise?
Well, I was going to say, Dan,
You're playing
the
the
way,
wrong game.
like how Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 did, there was this big thing that was chasing you, whether it's like the Nemesis or Mr. X.
You had to really guard your resources. You had particular times to play those
Yeah,
resources.
versus like 4 and 5 were like, as long as your gun's good and you can shoot good, you're
No,
good.
And that's not
so
quite,
bad.
that 5 is terrible, 6 isn't very good. But this has gone back to more of, okay, exactly what you said about resources.
Sounds like you're
management,
describing
things like
Silent Hill when
And-
you said
that's true. And Lady D she's also stomping through the house and you can hear her footsteps and things like that. Like they really do a great job of dread that, okay, I don't have enough bullets, I don't have any health. And you kind of feel for what poor Ethan's going through. Like, no spoilers, but like bad things happen to him. And you're like, the fudge, why did I play these other games? I'm not going to do this.
And that's what I was going to say. I think this got more hype than 7 did.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people came from it not knowing who Ethan and that whole backstory was.
they-
But it did explain.
Don't care for
came for
Lady
the lady.
D.
Of course
That's
they
why I
Like, I'm sorry, that is not scary. I'd be running the other way. I'm like, yes, I'm right here. Please don't
Now,
go.
what's so funny about Lady D is so like they announced to the world like the characters and stuff, and the designers and the producers are like, oh, we didn't understand that the internet would respond that way. Like, have you seen the internet?
step on me.
The internet is so thirsty.
Have you seen the Japanese commercials with the puppet of her?
No, I haven't. We should
Look that up.
Okay, we're gonna do that right
All
now.
I kept thinking about was Futurama. Death by Snoo Snoo?
Yeah.
Oh no!
I mean-
Lock the door. Yeah, exactly. So, in addition to the vampire mistresses being awesome and hot, it's also a really great game. First person, like Resident Evil's scary all by itself. Third person, but first person, you turn around, there's like there's stuff right there. So, I have loved Resident Evil. This is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Resident Evil.
Now it's time for Rob to show off that he has a PS5.
Or at least.
Or
games.
I can get you one too. There's one in my car.
Not a hint of jealousy in that statement.
Returnal. This is by the same people who made Nano Next. Oh my gosh, we'll talk about who made it later. We'll just cut that out. But they've made a bunch of other really cool
Mad
games.
Cave?
No,
Was that your thing you used to say?
Madhouse?
Madhouse.
Wait. Madhouse?
Madness? No. They made a bunch of cool like shooter type games for PlayStation, and this is their like first huge next gen type game, and it's a lot of fun. The reason I've really been enjoying this, even though this copy is not open, this is just a example copy.
Are any of these games? Oh wait.
Yeah, that one's open because I had to upgrade the PS4 to the PS. Okay. Anyway, the reason this is a lot of fun is a very roguelike. Have you ever played Hades on the Switch or any other type of?
Oh yeah, that's an awesome game.
Yeah. So the
hasn't played.
worlds and
Yes, I
things.
have. It's a side scroller. He calls it a roguelike. By the way, I feel so old. My brother was telling me, like, oh, you like roguelike games. I'm like, no, it's a side scroller. He's like, well, it's not a Metroidvania. And I'm like, what's a Metroidvania?
Oh my god.
Funny enough,
He's like, it's a roguelike. And I'm like, quit saying things. That's not a real thing. It's side scroller or RPG or shooter. That's it.
no, this is a roguelike Metroidvania type game.
Yeah.
The worlds are randomly generated, and there's not save points, so you have to just play, which I think is a crime in the year of our Lord of 2021 that I can't like pause and save a game, but that also keeps the game scary.
That's the way it
and
used to
interesting
be.
and fun,
Well,
right?
it's
Exactly.
scary
talked
because
about
your
your mom.
wife's like, we are leaving now, and you're like, I've got to get.
I got it.
Your mom, remember with Zelda?
Yeah,
That's what
exactly,
you do.
exact
Going
same
to
story.
church,
And
Bobby.
I tried to tell my children that story, and they're like, "Why don't you just put the system to sleep?" Like
Oh
there
my
was no
God.
sleep. But yeah, that's what you do with this. But if something happens to the PlayStation or auto updates the game, sorry, you lost your 6 hours of progress.
no.
But what's fun about this game is it's very much like if Metroid was a 3D game or third-person game, like you could call this Metroid Prime 5. It's fantastic.
That's coming out.
Yeah, because the way this character moves, she moves very much like Samus does in Super Metroid. It's fast, lots of shooting, lots of cool special effects. It is a ton of fun. So you should definitely check out Returnal if you have a PS5. If you don't have a PS5, send me a DM. And that's not true. Don't do that. Because
I'm gonna get a lot of DMs after this episode. Check the comments.
He'll put his phone number in the comments. Like,
Yeah.
No, please don't do that. Please don't do
Oh my
that.
God.
The last one again is Ratchet and Clank. The first time I saw a trailer for this, I got goosebumps. Not because of like I love Ratchet and Clank games, which admittedly I do. It's Insomniac, they make great games. I love Ratchet and Clank games. But the big geeky nerdy part of me got the goosebumps because Rift Apart implies there's portals where you go through different worlds. And the game, because the PS5 has all this awesome SSD hardware, et cetera, and they're using like NVMe like SSDs and things like that, everything loads really quickly. So you're going through a whole world. Think about how long it takes typically to roll a game, a minute and a half. You're going through this whole world, you jump through this rift, and poof, you're in a completely different world. And then poof, you're in a completely different world. And it's not even a second, half a second that it happens. And the nerdy side of me is like, I'm crying. How did they pull that off? That's so beautiful. And then the game is fun. The kids have loved watching this, all the characters and the witty antics that are going on, the enemies. It's just a great freaking game. So for me, the PlayStation 5 has really delivered on like fun games. But even if you don't have a PlayStation 5, Resident Evil is so good. If you don't like horror games or whatever, you cannot miss this game. So there you go for me. That's for 2021 thus far. Dan, tell me.
Well,
what's your
it's funny you picked me because the thing that I want to talk about is not something that anyone else can enjoy.
Okay, I'd love to hear it.
All right.
It's because it's about timing. All right. So I'm a big Disney World fan. Disney was open for most of the pandemic, and people were going.
With restrictions, right?
Yeah,
with
Masks,
restrictions.
6 feet
But
apart.
we scheduled a trip for early June, and we scheduled it a while back, and through perseverance, we're able to get tickets to all the parks and everything. And so this is a thing that the unique conflagration of 2020 and 2021 made possible, right? Because they very much can't, put down the number of people who can get in on a given day. But just kind of through kismet and the magic of vaccines, we were able to get in a time when we were all vaccinated. So, less pressure there, less concern for our personal safety and going out in big crowds. And Disney had just taken the mask mandate for outside. They had removed that, so you could walk around outside without a mask, but you still had to have a mask on inside all the rides and stuff.
Yeah.
But they were still keeping down the number of people who could be in the parks. And so everything was working, just about everything. They've worked all the kinks out of all the different types of systems. And, it was just one of the... Other than... It's just hot in June. It was an amazing time to be there because it was like not that crowded and everything was going and it was just a great trip. And so and they've got some new things that we hadn't seen before. Rise of the Resistance in Star Wars Land and the new Mini Mickey Railroad ride, which is another cartless or trackless ride. And so just the timing of that with how that worked out for us was perfect and, dare I say, magical.
Magical, yeah.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, no. Dude, if magic exists anywhere on Earth, I've experienced it twice at Disney properties.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So and then we're looking at pictures because the week after we were there, they just said no more masks. You know what? Everybody's decided everybody's done, so we're done too. Then after that, the amount of tickets went way up, and you see pictures of like just cheek to cheek, jowl to jowl, crowds back at Disney World like it is in any other summer, and it's just like.
I'm sure this summer was a lot worse though. People have been cooped
well, and that's
up at
exactly
home.
it. That's exactly it. It's it was because like we were getting worried because they kept releasing more tickets because you have to reserve what park you're going to now on a given day, and as we got close, but when we were there, it was still manageable and reasonable, and we got to do everything we wanted, and we didn't have to wait in too many really long lines, and it was just great. It was like. We just hit it right at that sweet spot.
Right at the right time.
Nice.
Right at that
So
sweet
would you
Oh,
say this
that's
is your
awesome.
favorite trip with the family to Disney World?
Well, see, but for that one thing I mentioned about it being really hot. Because I will say, it's been a long time since we've been down in the summer, and I did kind of forget that you can't blitzkrieg Disney when it's hot.
Yeah.
You gotta
It's sticky.
you gotta build in some time to rest and not die.
Yeah.
So other than that, yes, it was one of the best trips we've had in a long
awesome.
time. It was great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay.
But it's a little off. It's a little maybe outside because it's not something that anybody else can go enjoy.
No, I think it absolutely counts because, I mean, a lot of us or a lot of people have been to, like, Disney or other amusement parks, but, like, when's the best time to go? Because I know the first time I went to Disney was not one of our better
and this
experiences.
this is definitely not the best time to go in general,
Yeah.
but just because of the unique circumstances
Circumstances,
of this summer and this spring and this summer, it just really worked out.
Yeah. So this is easily your best highlight of 2021 thus far.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There you go. Okay. How about you, Tina?
Okay. Well, since I was a couch goblin, as I've said before, my favorites were, of course, anime, which is no surprise there.
I'm not judging.
This is not
you.
anime, though.
This
I was
is
judging you on your toilet.
It has a connection.
Okay.
My toilet bound?
Yeah,
So this is from 2020.
that name is so ridiculous.
It's really good. You should watch it
yeah,
with
yeah.
the girls.
Tell me about your
They would love these characters.
these things.
So this is so you're probably familiar with A Silent Voice.
I'm very familiar
This
with
is
it.
done by the same Monica, a manga artist. It's To Your Eternity, and I only started collecting the manga after watching the show because I wanted to know. So outside of me jokingly calling it character death of the episode,
Okay.
because it will rip your heart every episode because a character
like a
so far
silent-
has
I don't know if I want to watch this.
has died. Well, so it all involves on why, though. Why is a character dying? Because they're not frigid characters. I mean, well, they are in a way. Basically, the character learns from humanity. He's not human. He's sort of like this sentient being thing that another being has sent down to Earth to learn to preserve humanity. And so he learns
Looks
by first
like
he becomes
the
a
Bible.
rock. Then a wolf comes and dies next to him as a rock. He becomes the wolf. The wolf, he travels and finds a boy who actually had the actual wolf that died. And so you kind of get this progression of things. He meets this, kid, and through him he starts learning about the world because he doesn't know anything at all. He didn't even know how to walk. And then, spoiler alert, the kid dies. So you think the anime is going to be about this?
That's the first episode. of the
That's the
anime.
very first episode, though.
Okay,
You
okay.
think the
She
anime is
gets a
going to be about
spoiler.
this actual kid, but no, it's about the alien that meets the actual kid. Because he becomes the kid when the kid dies.
But you're telling me all this, even though you're depressing me. It's actually good.
It's really good. It's kind of like watching a toddler learn how to walk, but kind of fast, because each person that this creature meets, they learn to be more human, they learn to evolve, and the ultimate goal is trying to save humanity. And it's the struggles about, like, because he's an immortal being, you know, that loss. And he doesn't want it to happen, but he finds out, like, the more that he doesn't want it to happen, the more it actually does. Like, things occur around him. It's so good. I love this.
Okay. Kind of reminds me of Resident Alien on like Sci-Fi Channel. That's interesting. Okay.
Which is based on a comic book.
I did not know that.
Which is based on the 80s TV series Out of This World.
Alf?
So yeah, I've actually really started getting into collecting the manga because of it, and trying to expand my manga collection. So that's been really, really exciting. And then just as a side mention, Shadow's House, which is another one you can find on Funimation, which I believe started as a web comic.
Okay.
Which you can find online. It's really, really good. You think it's going to be about something else, and then it gets a little bit darker. And
It's
of course,
a manga or an anime?
it's an anime, but it's also like a webcomic. So it started out as a webcomic, and then don't quote me if it's not, but that's basically where
It's
I
a
read
Madhouse animation that did that?
Absolutely, yes, it is, guys. But no, it's really, really good. So you have these shadow people, and these dolls that serve them. So the shadow people are made out of basically soot.
Okay.
They look like the humans, but in a shadow form. Okay, think like Peter Pan in his shadow.
Sure.
All right.
Soot sprites.
Yeah. You pegged it immediately. So these are sprites that have taken on human form, but the human dolls don't know it. So they're serving the dolls, and
Wacky hijinks ensue.
well, no, not wacky hijinks, because you're like, oh, this is really cute. They're just like trying to get to know each other and stuff, and then you find out that the soot sprites are actually made to take over the humans' lives. That the humans have taken a potion and forgot completely that they were human.
Okay.
And they're kids. They're little kids.
Maybe I shouldn't watch this either.
Dude, you're cracking that side of the table.
What's wrong with you people?
So hard.
Children dying?
No! But thus far, this is what you've really been digging, this anime and this manga. Okay.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. What about you, Maddie?
All right.
You're so mysterious.
What have you been into?
Next?
Okay.
What's your favorite for 2021?
So,
Thus far.
keep this short, but a video game and a kind of a series of things.
Okay.
But first, my favorite video game so far of 2021, which thank you for bringing me a physical copy because I have it digitally, is It Takes Two. I cannot recommend this enough.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a cooperative game, you and another person. You can do it online or cross-platform. I played it with my husband, and it's like split screen sometimes. It's beautiful, but basically you play as this couple that's getting divorced.
Mm-hmm.
I know this is not sound like it sounds like a bummer. Give me a second.
I heard it builds relationships.
Yeah,
or
Maddie
breaks
was
them.
like, hey, Tina, you and your wife should play this game about this couple getting a divorce. I was like, what?
My brothers played it together and told me that we should play it.
It's amazing. And so basically, like you have a daughter together, and she's so upset, of course, that you guys are going to divorce.
Selfish
And
kids.
she's made dolls of you, and she cries over them. And she's like, and she also has this relationship book near her, and she's like, oh, I hope they can be. I wish they could be friends. And she cries on it, of course, magical Disney tears, right? And they become these dolls that she's made of them, and they are led through this book of love, who leads them through these little like mini areas of the house, almost like Borrowers, that kind of like look.
Yeah.
Where like I think Borrowers meets Toy Story almost, because you have these like things that just come to life around them around the house, and they have to make their way through that and sort of learn about themselves, right, and kind of work through their own issues at the same time. But what's great also, I love the story, but also the world that's in here, because in each section, the little world that you're in, little area in your changes, but also so do the game mechanics. So even if you play a part and you're like, I don't really like this thing that we're doing, where like one character has a gun, the other person like, I don't know, shoots some, like breaks down the thing. You always change the mechanics of things you're doing, the abilities with each chapter. And it's incredibly rewarding. It takes like maybe 7-8 hours. We adored this. I think everyone should play it. It's a perfect game. It's 10 out of 10, honestly.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. And the developers also done like other multiplayer games that are co-op.
Yeah, 'cause
I really
they
like
did
the co-op.
That escape one
Yes.
where you're in prison or something.
Yeah.
But this one, when you look at it, you're like, oh, is this sort of like a like Sackboy sort of thing. What is that?
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Little Big Planet.
Little Big Planet.
Little Big
It feels like that
Little
kind
big
of look.
waste of time.
Hold on. Sackboy, the new Sackboy is actually really good. It's
No,
fantastic.
no one
Yes,
said that.
Yes, it is. Go ahead.
And our friend Two Mello did the music.
What is
Anyway,
this? He
so-
did? For the new game? Shout out to Mello.
Keep going.
Go ahead.
So what else? What else do you have for us?
All right, so the other thing, I'm holding one example of this, but I recently got into Star Wars in the past year. I should have put that in the other video. For the first time, I actually watched the original movies and then got into the shows. And
The
then
original movie.
Wait, so you watched-
I
ones?
had not
Oh,
watched
no.
the
4, 5,
original
and 6.
trilogy.
Okay.
And then you watch 1, 2, and 3, and then 7, 8, 9.
Well, I'd already seen those.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, anyways, I got into Star Wars.
Okay.
And perfect timing because they were just releasing this new initiative about Star Wars called the High Republic. So this is set before episodes 1, 2, and 3. It's back when like the Jedi were at their like peak. Peak Jedi.
Every story is about the Jedi at the peak.
It is not the truth. Like they had a whole civilization. Like they have their own like governing system. Basically, like they're who you call if you need help all over the galaxy.
I recognize the name, Charles Soule.
Yeah,
Big,
yeah. So
comic book guy.
this is the book that starts it off with Charles Soule. But basically, they have this whole line of books that do connect with each other that are centered around this like big event that happens in the galaxy, where something happens at like light speed, where something enters there that shouldn't be there. I forgot how things work. Anyways.
Wally West.
Yes.
But like they're releasing manga and there's 2 different comic book runs.
Yeah,
There's
I saw
the Adventures, which is IDW, and the regular one, which is Marvel. There's audiobooks, there's children's books. I'm just buying all of it. And I've really enjoyed it because I think it's just great to see a new cast of characters, learn more about Star Wars, and really, I really appreciate like the different kind of leads in here. You know, and a lot of people have been mad. They're like SJWs because there's some like Lady Jedi that are like the leaders, and that's really cool. There's a nice mix. Like this Ava
Chewbacca has a lightsaber.
she
Nobody's
is
complaining about
the
that.
strongest like Jedi in the galaxy, except for Yoda, who's alive at that time.
He's alive during this time?
Yeah, he's there. He's training some youngins.
Went over 400 years. Look as good you were not.
What was this character's name?
Avar Chris.
Okay.
How does all this taking place? Is it all... I assume this is all canon because
This is
under
all
the
canon.
Disney label.
Yes, under
right?
Disney label.
Disney.
Okay.
I think this was all
Star Wars.
announced in tandem with the big D23 thing. They were like, "Hey, books,
Yeah.
movies, yeah."
Yeah.
I remember
So they
this.
even have a manga, huh?
Yeah,
Now is there a show attached to this?
there is no show attached to this
I just saw the announcement of something
yet.
3 weeks ago from
There's
this
other Star
episode
Wars things
yesterday in my
happening
real
that's
time.
happening in your regular canon of like the movies, but this is way before.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've not read a single thing. I've just seen pictures of it. I've read Knights of the Old Republic recently for the first time, and that stuff was awesome. That's when you said it's the Jedi at their peak, and I'm like, Knights of the Old Republic is Jedi.
You played the game, Knights of the Old
No, I've
Republic.
never played. I've never
Exactly.
played. I've never played. I don't. Calm down. I haven't played KOTOR. First of all, any
Yeah, it's
real
Coder.
fan
It's
calls
Coder.
it
It's Coder. Okay, so how many of these have you burned through?
I couldn't tell you. I'm one book behind what's currently out.
Well, these are books, right?
Yeah. So,
Charles Soule. What are you
Well, there's a
doing
mix,
writing books
yeah.
without pictures?
but yeah, I think 2 more books came out recently, so I haven't read those,
Okay.
and there's one more novel I need to read to catch
Okay.
up. But the comic book, I have a pull list and everything.
Okay.
A full list.
So
That's
so
all
you,
proud of you.
this is something you recommend that anyone who's a Star Wars fan, aficionado, and this has been your favorite thus far of 2021. That's really saying something. Yeah. Okay.
That's really fun.
nice.
And I don't have a lot of
That's
Jedi
surprising.
knowledge, and I can still understand this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a good jumping off point, new characters, everything. You don't need to know whatever anyone's done before. It's fine.
Okay. Yeah, I heard about
Cool.
this and I was like, I
Okay.
hope it's good, and I'm glad it is. Awesome.
Yeah.
So, what about you, Andrew?
Ah,
What's been some of your favorite content that you've been consuming in 2021?
man. So most of the content that I've been consuming didn't actually come out in 2021, but invalid. So it's invalid. So I'm not going to talk about it. But
Okay, Rob.
Let's talk about it anyway.
they're all my honorable mentions, 1 through 5. No, the one that I do want to talk about that came out in 2021 that I kind of stole from Dan is WandaVision.
WandaVision.
I know
Okay.
you
Okay.
wanted to talk
Okay.
about.
Okay.
You discovered it before Dan.
I discovered it before Dan. No, I just
That's how it's done, baby.
he blurted it out, and
That's how
I
it's
said dibs.
done.
Yeah, so I watched that. This is one of the few shows that I watch. Like I'm notorious for watching shows a year and a half after they come
Oh
out.
my
Yeah.
gosh, dude! 10
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
You're like Firefly was good,
wait,
guys. Have you heard
yeah.
about this?
Have you seen the Serenity movie?
I can't wait for the sequel. Yeah, so no, I actually watched this one pretty much right when it came out, and I was stoked about it from the beginning because
you guys know my big geeky thing is doing this kind of stuff. It's
Yeah.
making videos and like everything there is to know about it, like making movies, making television. I was a sitcom kid growing up. So then I see all the trailers for WandaVision and I'm like, what's going on here? I'm very intrigued because I like things that are weird. And it's like all sorts of flashes of different sitcom eras. And even from the trailers, I could kind of tell like, that looks a lot like a show I used to watch in syndication when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And then I start watching the episodes and I'm just like hooked instantly because it starts out right away with the very first episode takes place in the 50s. And it is, they don't say it, but it is like straight out of like the Dick Van Dyke Show
Absolutely.
or I Love Lucy. There's a little bit of both in there. And they continue that for each episode after that. So there's an overarching story, obviously, between the characters. And that was really cool. The story itself I thought was really good. What I was focused on and hooked on right away, though, was just the authenticity that they put into the first several episodes. Eventually, towards the end, I don't want to say too much because it's pretty new, and so I don't want to give us spoilers. But
Have you seen it?
Oh yeah.
Then we're good.
We're
He's
good.
usually
Yeah.
the
If
last
you've
one to
seen
watch.
it,
more
Anyway,
stuff.
if I've seen it, yeah. Towards the end, it's mostly like Marvel Cinematic movie. But the first several episodes, it is following this trend of picking a show or a couple of shows from each decade. So you got the 50s, the 60s is like Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie.
And the appropriate matching introduction.
Oh
my God.
Let's talk
It
about
was
the
very
authenticity.
Nick at Night almost feel. Like
Yeah,
I figured you'd
yeah.
appreciate the cinematography of the shots that are done
Oh,
Yeah.
in
okay.
the style.
And the special effects.
The cinematography, I mean, so one, you can go on Disney Plus and look at, I forget what the series is called, but they have a series outside of this show that's like how we put it together.
Yes.
And they did one episode about this. And they touch on a little bit about how they put so much research and so much time into every little aspect of it. So not only like looking at these old shows and seeing what the video looked like, what the shots looked like, what the blocking looked like, so like how the stages were set up, how the people moved around them. For the first episode where it was Dick Van Dyke and I Dream of Jeannie, and I Love Lucy, they even went so far as to say, well, they like talked to Dick Van Dyke and like
That's awesome.
asked him like, so what was it like back when you were doing these shows? And he said, well, that was kind of a little bit earlier in television, so like it was done more like theater. It was one take in sequence all the way through.
Yeah.
And by the way, they had live TV audiences for these.
Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't realize
yeah.
that.
Yeah, they had live TV audiences, and they even went so far as to like the seating for the TV audience was of the time was like the seats, the railing, everything was set up. The crew would dress up in the outfits that they would wear back in the 50s. Like they went way overboard.
I
with
saw
it.
that the plates and stuff that moved around when Wanda's doing her thing were still on like sticks and stuff.
Oh yeah. They were using
Practical
they were using the
effects.
visual effects from the times.
It was the budget. It was more than the Avengers that came out. The very first Avengers
Really?
Was the
movie
budget?
was
Wow.
the cost of this show, which is insane.
I believe it because they had to go find a lot of old equipment too. They went in, like you mentioned, the cinematography. They went so far as to like find old camera lenses and use the old equipment to get the shots to make everything look authentic. And of course, it changed with each episode. So you're not just doing one
Right.
time period. You're doing what 50s, 60s, 70s,
You
80s,
go from
90s,
full
Yeah,
frame
and the
to
odds. Like,
widescreen.
oh yeah.
It's really cool.
I just like geeked out over that big time. So that was like by far one of my favorite things from 2021 so far. Just like being able to, there's still stuff I can read about it, and I'm looking forward to more stuff coming out about it because I just loved how they dove into each of those time periods. And pretty much every single one of those shows was shows that I watched as a kid.
Yeah.
Like the Brady Bunch.
There's
of the
lots
70s.
of Easter eggs for people that just not read comics, but also were fans or
Oh, yeah.
grew up in the 80s and 90s and watched shows or Nick at Night.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us watch like the Donna Reed show
Yeah.
on Nick at Night. So
Family Matters.
Malcolm in the Middle episode too.
the
So,
episode
yep,
where
the
episode,
music they hired the people that did the music
Yes.
was freaking amazing. Like because
Oh,
they
they-
sounded just like the stuff you would have
Yeah,
grew
it was-
up with or
Yeah,
whatever. it
they
was.
geeked out over it just as much. They were like, "Oh, cool, we're gonna," and they
So to people that
intertwined
did
a little
Frozen, I
theme in
think.
between each one, right? Yeah.
Like they won an Emmy for not an Emmy. What is that thing for Frozen? Oscar. They won an Oscar.
Grammy.
That's what it
Grammy.
was.
That's awesome.
Cracker Jack Award. Yeah.
I too watched this, but I didn't watch it with the eye that you did. Other than like, oh, I think I know what this sitcom is coming
Yeah.
from. And the fact that, as you all have made known, I'm not the one that watches stuff very quickly either. Yeah, we were all over it. So that's really cool to hear your perspective from a cinematographer.
It was fun. That was my big thing.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think that's a big one. All right, so last person, but certainly not least, things that were really interesting that happened in 2021. Your favorite thing in 2021?
Okay.
Omar.
So I read comics. So I have to mention one.
Have you watched this YouTube channel called Near Mid Condition?
I've read a lot of stuff. Because I have to
right
now.
here.
I've read a lot of manga. I've read a lot of comics. So I'm trying to think of outside the box and think of things that I saw this year. I enjoyed Loki.
Yeah, and
So I saw a miniseries called Behind Her Eyes on Netflix. I thought that was really good. It was only 6 episodes.
okay.
Binge watch that. The twist at the end is awesome. It's got Bono's daughter, and she's freaking super cute.
Okay.
And I saw Yellowstone, caught up with that, waiting for the final season to come out. Big fan of Kevin Costner and Taylor Sheridan, the guy that writes this show, who has written a lot of good movies. And as far as the book that I've enjoyed quite a few this year, but I have to go with Monsters so far, which is Barry Windsor Smith. It's a project that's taken about 30 years. It started as a Hulk story.
30 years.
Bill Mantlo was writing a script for it during his run on The Incredible Hulk. Barry Windsor was drawing it, and then the comics authority code was like, no, you can't, because it has a lot of topics like child abuse and things like that in it. So it's a rough story. It's not a happy story, so much like Tina's sad things. It's very depressing. But it's really good, and the artwork is just awesome. But it's been like 30 years in the making. It kept getting delays, and then my order, because of things that happened, got delayed, and I finally got it about a month ago, and I just started reading it after reading a bunch of X-Men. But those are my 3 things I've enjoyed so far this year. But I've enjoyed a lot more.
Well, see, that's the thing. I wanted to ask you because I know that you read a bunch of content
A lot.
for the channel. So like you say,
I should be reading now.
So you saying this is my favorite thing of 2021? Like has some.
Well,
weight
I think
behind it.
this is the one that I wanted to read. Right, I'll probably do a review on it sometime. But a lot of the time, reading things is because I have to read. I have to do an overview of
But
a
that's
book. or I have
something
to
you
do-
anticipated and you.
That's one,
you look
yeah.
forward
And I
to.
anticipate sometimes a lot of the things that are coming out. Like Amazing Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 5. I can't wait to read it. But, it almost, having to do a video on it almost takes that, I want to read it for myself at my own pace. Instead of like, oh crap, I got 2 days to do this. I don't know if I can do it. It's a Bronze Age book. There's a lot of dialogue in here.
I understand. I got to play this game so I can actually have something to talk about.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah, I get you.
There's a grass is always greener, right? Like we talk about people that like review video games for a living. You're like, man, that would be such a cool job. But you got to think like they have to put in a lot of time to give. Well, okay, I'm sure they could go to Wikipedia and find out what the game's about.
Yeah,
and
but
give you
that's
some
not
kind
quite
of
as
fake
authentic.
review, right?
It's not quite as authentic.
But there's a lot of that with this. But yeah, those are some of the things I enjoyed.
Okay,
Nice.
cool.
Very cool. Found out some things about you all. Ralph Boner, though, man, that made me so mad. They had a good thing going, and I'm like, what? That's where we're going to go? My 12-year-old in me is laughing, and I'm like, mad.
Okay, the TVA is gonna fix it.
Right.
Sure.
That's a Loki reference, y'all.
I got it.
Once
I got
you watch
it.
it,
I
you'll
got
get
it.
it.
I
It's
got
fine.
it.
All right, so I have to keep some of these things in mind. Some of these things to not keep in mind.
Ouch.
Maybe I'll breathe heavily. 'Cause I like sad things too. I just have to be ready. I have to mentally prepare my mind for it. So thank you all for letting me know what's your favorite thing for 2021. I hope you guys learned something too.
Yeah, let us know.
Like, subscribe, smash the thing. You know, the thing.
Hey, Maddie, you want to play the new Resident Evil mod with me? Yeah. Come on, let's go. Dan, where are you?
Hey guys.
Wait.
Hey guys.
But wait.
Wait.
What?
Oh, I was putting my phone up. That's what I wasn't. Sidekick looks good, boy. I think there's your thumbnail, man. You got Tina's hand on his booty. That's the thumbnail. Yes!
Look up the camera.
Dan, you don't have to look. Don't look at the camera.
Camera.
Yeah!